What's up, YouTube? My name is Dez, and today we're going to be taking a look at my Kaido deck profile for December. I have basically a 67% win rate with this deck. Entered in 17 events throughout the month. Basically, the first month the game was out. From that first local we had up until a month from then. So we're going to be taking a look at the deck. We're going to be taking a look at actually my stats because I've recorded my win-losses for every matchup. We're going to be taking a look at that, and then we're going to look at some gameplay from my stream as well. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go over this kind of very standard stuff first. 4 Queen, 4 Higurashi, 4 Black Maria. Very standard. You're not going to see any purple deck not running these 12 blockers, and if they aren't, I'm going to go on a limb and say they're doing something wrong. Just the 2 cost blockers, they're just cheap blockers. And then 5 cost Queen, 6k blocker, cycles through your deck, lets you discard the dead Onigashimas, and it's just a big boy. Then we have the 2k counters. We have 4 X Drake, 4 Ulti, and I'm actually, in this list, I'm actually only running 3 Sasaki. Just didn't feel like I needed the 12th, and I wanted to make slots to test other cards and kind of fight red a little bit better. But most lists are going to be running, again, these standard 12 2k counters. I just chose to run 11. And now I'm playing 2 Who's Who and 2 Babanuki. This is mainly for the red matchup. It hits blockers in the other matchups. It's pretty good against green. In the mirror, it just hits the 2 cost blockers. Against blue, it hits Dofi and Law, just blockers again. Green, it's really good. It kills Okikus. Gets like Bonnies or something off the board if they're protecting them a lot. And it's just really good. It's a trigger, so you can kind of sack people with it. It's just pretty nice. Really helps in the red matchup. Been considering running 3. And now I have 2 Babanuki. Just a 5 cost vanilla, swings for 7, 1k counter, puts pressure on the board if you don't have a queen, and you don't want to play an X Drake and get rid of a 2k counter if the 1 card from their hand doesn't feel worth it. I'd really like him, to be honest. He's been working out very well. Just 7k, additional 7k swings, forcing 2 cards out of their hand or an event. It's pretty nice. Now we got on to the big boys. I'm running 3 6 cost King, 2 7 cost King, 3 9 cost Kaido, and 3 10 cost Kaido. So this is the ratios of the Kings and Kaidos are the things I see the differences between the most in purple decks. I was running this at 4. I cut it down to 3 for a few weeks. I think I'm gonna end up putting it back to 4. 2 7 cost King I think is correct. You really want to play 3 because it's just so good against red, green, and red, red, and green mono. But I think 2 is just correct. I've toiled with the idea of 3, but I think 2 is just correct. 3 9 cost Kaido, just huge tempo when you put him on the board. Swings for 10, kills a 6 cost, kills their Laws, their Luffy's, their Basil Hawkins, things like that. Helps you fight into the boards that Kid can make. And then 3 10 cost Kaido, just to deal with anything that 9 cost Kaido can't deal with. I've been debating cutting it down to 2. It's still something I'm going to be debating with probably for the entire month of January up until the Treasure Cup in February. But in this list and for right now, I'm going to be running 3. And then we have the events. So 4 Blast Breath, pretty standard. I wouldn't play 3. Just too good. You need it to defend. Now, I'm playing 2 in this list, and throughout December, I played 2 Brachio and 2 Thunder Bagua. These cards felt just okay, and once we look into the stats here, and I go into kind of what I'm going to be running for January, we'll talk more about these cards a little bit. And then, obviously, the 4 Onigashima. You could run 3. I just like 4. You can discard it with Queen if you get the dead cards in your hand. I just think for consistency's sake, you just want to run 4. I've had people telling me they run 3, but I would just rather play 4. to be honest. And then I will bring up the stats, and you'll be able to see the full deck list in more of a laid out way here. So here are my stats for the month of December. So I had an 84% win rate in the mirror with 19 games played, and I'm going to attribute that mainly to my ratios on the big boys, mostly the Kaidos. Just always trying to bait out their first Kaido, and then responding with your own is normally how I end up winning the mirrors if it's an even game where we both have Oni or we both don't have Oni. I actually won a game last night where my opponent had Oni turn 1 and a ramp off first life, and I was still able to win with never seeing Onigashima or any kind of ramp. But that was very, very hard, and I wouldn't want to play that again. But I'm contributing my Kaido win rate mainly to the ratios of the big boys. I just always have a big boy in hand to respond to theirs. They don minus, I don minus, but I usually end up with the body on board, and they just don't have any don to respond. Kid, I think this is a great matchup for Kaido. You can just always deal with their board. Outside of like the 7-cost Kid blocker and like a bunch of Paradise Waterfall restands, it's very hard for them to deal with it and to stop you from swinging so big. Dopey, I haven't played too much. I have played against my friend twice in tour though, and I thought he's a really good Dopey player, and I'm more 1-1, and then I've won 2 other games against Dopey. Not a big sample size, 75% win right there. King and Odin, kind of whatever. One game, just one. You know, they're not very good. Now we have Zoro and Luffy. So I think Luffy has a worse matchup into Kaido, mainly because they just aren't rushy. They just aren't as early rushy. They normally play like a Shanks, some bigger vanillas like Ben Beckman or Yasop. And they're more of a mid-game deck, and that's where Kaido really excels, where Zoro's just straight rush you down, kill you in 5-6 turns, don't make it to the mid-game or just starting the mid-game. So that's kind of my interpretation of these. I mean, obviously only 4 games against Luffy, but the Zoro matchup is definitely a lot harder, and we're going to be watching a couple of games against Zoro after this. Blue Purple Croc, I think this matchup's Kaido favored. I think the guy in my locals is just pretty good at it, and then I have one game over somebody that I hadn't played against before in tour, and I won, and it definitely felt easier than the 2 games that I've had to go into time against the other Blue Purple Croc player. I don't have a great read on this matchup though. My friends think it's Kaido favored. It's probably Kaido favored. And then we have Red Green Law. I am 0-6 against this deck. I don't really know how to interpret it like from a matchup spread perspective. It's just one of those matchups where I just don't think I understand it, and it's going to be something I'm going to be grinding out through the course of this month in preparation for the Niagara Treasure Cup. And this is just kind of an easier way to see my matchups. My win rates against the popular decks. So pretty good overall. 66.7% win rate for this month. 54 games played in a total of 17 events. I've actually entered 20 events total. 19 events total. I played Zoro in 2 of them. We're not going to talk about that. 20 events or 19 events total throughout the course of this month. So I've been playing a lot of One Piece, and I'm gonna go on a limb and say there aren't too many other people who have played 54 games this month in tour with Kaido. So these are just my standings. I've done to 14 of our locals. These are 3 rounds where I went 2-1 14 times in a row. I've played a 6-round webcam tournament where I got 3rd place, went 5-1. A 5-round webcam tournament where I went 3-2 and tied for 4th, 5th. And a 4-round webcam tournament where I got 4th place. And then this is just a screenshot of the list I was using throughout the majority of these games. And this is just like a take on my take on the matchup spreads. So I think Zoro is like a 40-60. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. Kid's probably not this high. It's probably like 65-35. You just have lots of answers to their stuff, very efficient answers to what they can do. Dofi, I think, is 50-50. If you hit the 9-cost Kaidos and into like their boas, it's easy. If you don't, they can like bottom deck your kings. I think it's very 50-50, honestly, having played it a lot in friendlies. Red Green Law, the more aggressive list that runs like for Zoro, the restanding law, things like that, I think is a hard matchup, probably pretty similar to the Zoro 40-60. And the Red Green Law that runs, that's not super popular over here in Americas, but it was more I think it was more popular over in Japan. They were more polarized by 8-cost kid than we are. I've actually seen lists cutting the 8-cost kid here in the States or Europe, but 8-cost kid was like their meta defining card in Japan. I haven't seen too much of the control type list, but I'd imagine it's similar to the kid matchup. They probably get a bit more aggressive. I'd maybe rate it a 60-40 or a 55-45 if I had to give a take. So that's my stats for for this list. I think it's pretty consistent. Obviously, 14 2-1s in a row is pretty damn consistent. And then we're gonna take a look at kind of what I've learned from the list. So if you can notice, the events are gone. Thunder Bagua felt just okay. Brachio Bomber felt just okay. I think there are better cards than those that you can put in there. Brachio Bomber, my theory behind it was like it hits things when you don't have 9-cost Kaido that you really need to get rid of, like laws or queens. But it just kind of felt unnecessary. Thunder Bagua, my theory behind it was mainly for the red matchup, which it felt okay. It felt better than Brachio, but I just don't think it felt good enough. And to make up for that, I have, if you take a look at the ratios, basically what I've changed between this list and this list is I've put 4-cost King back to 4. I've put Who's Who back to, I put Who's Who up to 3, which has felt pretty good against red and red-green. Felt a little heavy versus purple in the games that I've played, but I haven't done enough testing with this list to really give you a solid opinion. Gonna do more testing on this through the month of January. I put Babanuki up to 3. I don't know if he's felt that good to be a 3 of. I'm just not too sure what else I would do with that slot. Maybe a 4th Who's Who, but then I feel like maybe we're a little low on counters. Just something that I'm gonna have to test. And then I put the Sasaki back up to 4 just to get the 12 2K counters. Now, another thing that I've been considering is this card. Kamazo the Manslayer. It's, I won't spoil anything from the anime, actually. But it's a 4-cost 5K, so good stats for 4. It's always swinging. It's got a counter 1000, and it's on KO. So when this card is removed from the board, Don -1 and KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So this card is definitely insane against red-green, where they just always have something on the board. They need a full board to use their leader effect. So it's just, if they're gonna remove it, it's 99.9% of the time gonna at least take one card with it. And if they're not gonna remove it, it's just pressure. It's swinging for 5 every turn. So I haven't done a ton of testing with this. My issue is that it's not going to be very good in the mirror. And the few games that I have played with it, it didn't feel great if it wasn't on curve, because it just didn't feel like I was spending 4 Dawn and it sits there, and it doesn't affect the board unless your opponent allows it to. So if you're not getting like a few swings with it in early, like 1 or 2, it just kind of didn't feel great. I obviously have to do more testing with this. It's probably pretty good against red as well. I think it's probably all right in all the matchups except for purple. Versus purple, you're really only hitting blockers or queen. And they get to choose when it's going to die. And purple also doesn't have too many things on, can definitely have turns where they just have nothing on board. So I think purple's going to be able to remove it pretty easily and not take a hit from it. But the other decks will probably at least get something removed. It's just a card that I'm theorizing about, but if you want like a very solid list, I would just use one of these two, and I will throw these in the description and like a text format, so you could just copy them or import them or do whatever you want to do with them. All right, so those are the deck lists, and now let's get into watching a couple of games real quick. So I'm gonna bring up my stream VOD, and let's just get into it. This is a game. It might look a little it might get a little weird because I'm upping the speed, but this is a game versus my friend Gary. I wanted to put games from like webcam tournaments in here, but I lost my VOD from the first one. So we're just gonna watch a couple of games versus Zoro, which is a pretty hard matchup. So this first game, my hand was pretty good. He goes turn 1 Nami. It's pretty standard. I don't remember what he ends up grabbing. We'll see here in a second. Yeah, he gets the Robin. kind of scary. I'm pretty sure I have a 2-cost blocker in my hand that I end up going with first turn. And then I just use that to eat a hit, make sure I'm playing around that Robin, not giving him the opportunity to use her effect. Yep, I tap 2 for the Black Maria, and then he's gonna just swing with the Zoro, and I think I'm just eating that hit with the Black Maria. And I believe this was also a game where I had Onigashima in hand at the start. Yep, he's gonna play down the Robin. I mean, if I didn't see him add the Robin, he should have not played the Robin first, because then I know that I have to block. I don't know if I have to block that hit or not, but since I saw it, he just plays it. I pass. He passes, and then I'm gonna be on 4 Dawn. I play Onigashima here, and then I swing lead for 6, I believe. Yep, I swing him for 6, and he takes. All right, now we have Gary's 5 Dawn turn. And if you wanted to watch these games with the original audio of us talking while we're playing and things like that, I have the audio quieted down a little bit here, just so I could hear it if maybe there was something I missed. But these are uploaded on my Twitch as VODs. This was like its own stream. I just did a little best of 3 with him, and then I did a webcam tournament the same day later on. Those two VODs are there on my Twitch, and I will link those as well in the description if you wanted to check those out. So he goes 2 for Sai here, 2 for 2 Sais actually. Then he's gonna throw 1 on Zoro and swing me for 6. I take the 6 there. I don't think I had any 2K counters. And then I get a Thunder Bagua off the first life, and I choose to use the ramp effect there. I usually find it's just worth using the ramp effect instead of holding it in the hand. It's very expensive, which was my main problem with Thunder Bagua, is that saving 2 Dawn for Thunder just, it felt hard. And he swings me for 5 with Robin. And then I just used to Blast Breath it there. I saved the Dawn. Or I didn't save the Dawn, but I got the Dawn from the Thunder Bagua trigger, and I chose to just expend that, gets the Blast Breath out, block a hit. And I think that was worth it, because I even find it's hard to save that 1 Dawn for Blast Breath in a lot of games, just because your cards are so expensive, even if you have the extra Dawn from Oni. Especially against red, where you just need to get the most efficiency out of your Dawn. He's got 5 cards in hand. I have a billion cards in hand, I'm pretty sure. At 4 life right now, but he's got a big board. Can't remember exactly what was in my hand at this point. I think it was a 6-cost king. I think I end up swinging 5 at the Robin and then going for a 6-cost king is what my play is. Yeah, I swing 7 at the Robin. I don't think he saves it. I think he lets it go. Oh, he does save it. Yeah, that's right. So he saves it, and then I just 6-cost king the Robin. No funny business. Oh, sorry, not 6-cost. I who's who the Robin. And I play a cheap blocker. That's right. I wouldn't have had enough Dawn to 6-cost king the Robin. But I do believe that was one of the cards in my opening hand this game. And that's who's who just coming in clutch there. I mean, it's just 3 Dawn to remove pretty much anything in their deck. I think it's just way too good in that matchup. And that's why I've considered putting it at 3. He goes 1 on Zoro. He's got 6 Dawn left to work with, and I believe this is the turn where he plays 2 Zoros and just swings me a billion times. I'm running out of cards in my hand at this point, so I'm a little worried. But I'm still at 4 life with a blocker on board. This is not the turn. So this is where he plays 2 for Vivi. Two for Brook to give 2 Dawn to one of his size. Actually, no, they go to the Nami, so he can swing me for 5. And I think he distributes, I think 1 to the size. No, just 2 on 1. And he swings me for 5. And he's still swinging me a million times here, even without playing the 2 Zoras. Swinging me for 5 twice, swinging me for 7, and swinging me for 6. Sitting at 3 life with, I believe, 3 cards in hand. I'm just trying to think about all the swings here so I can optimally counter. I end up countering with a Black Maria there. I don't love discarding blockers to counter, but it is what it is. I block the 6. I block the 5. I take the 7. And he passes the turn to me. I'm still sitting at 2 life. I opted not to block any of those attacks. I just felt like I had the numbers. I could have blocked maybe a 7 there, but I opted not to leave the blocker up just to give me some defense for the next turn. Since I'm up to 9 Dawn here, thinking about how I want to spend it. I tap Oni for the last one. Sitting here at 9 Dawn. Believe I have the 9 cost in hand. Or maybe I do the 6 drop King this turn. I believe that's actually what happens. Believe I end up swinging with the Who's Who and like 6 drop Kinging something. I'm just gonna up the speed a little bit here so we don't have to watch me thinking. He's got 2 cards in hand. So I'm feeling alright about these swings. He's probably not gonna be able to do much about them. And I'm just really deciding here whether I'm gonna swing with the Who's Who, whether I'm gonna spend all the Dawn on a big boy, or just how I'm gonna spend the Dawn this turn. So I believe still trying to clear the board. I clear the side for 6 for a 6 swing. I swing with the Who's Who for 5 at the other side. Side dies. Now he's still got the Nami there that I want to get rid of. And I leave the Nami there, and I end up 6 cost kinging the Vivi. He's down to 2 cards on board, and I pass turn to him. He's still got the Nami there, but we're fine with that. And I still have a blocker. I am indeed getting my shit pushed in. Still have 3 cards in hand though. Because purple cards just do a lot. You just always have cards in hand. And Who's really just the MVP of this matchup. So he goes 1 on the Brook, 3 on the Brook, and he swings 7. He's got 5 Dawn left, so right now I'm considering, what if he Luffy's and swings 7? I just end up blocking the 7. No funny business there. Swings 6 at my leader. I 2K that for sure. Yep. Discard an X Drake. And now he's got 2 Dawn left. He's either going to throw it all onto Zoro or play some cheap cards. Yep, he just throws it all onto Zoro. Swings me for 8, and I take that life. Now he's still at 4, and I'm at 1. And now this is where this gets a little dangerous, where you really need to draw the blockers or it gets hard. Now, I think I was about to tap for Queen there, but then I remembered that I'm probably making some swings at life, and you never want to play Queen first against Red. If you're playing Queen first against Red, you're just opening yourself up to getting jet pistoled. And that can really just lose you the game right there, to be honest. You get jet pistoled on a fresh Queen, just really loses you the game. So I got to swing 5 at the Brook, just clear it. He's only got 3 in hand. He's not going to defend the Brook. No, I'm just trying to figure out what to do with the Dawn. I believe I swing at the Who's Who with at the Nami. I think I give it a Dawn just to make sure. Yeah, I think I'm thinking here just to make sure I don't just to make sure it clears. I don't think I ended up needing the Dong. And then I swing 7 at life. Make sure I swing with the Who's Who first just to play around the jet pistol as much as I can. Don't think he's gonna jet pistol a Who's Who there, but maybe he does, just to get rid of the swing. I tap 5 for Queen. I discard the Oni. It's a great turn for me. I still have 4 Dawn left to work with. And I believe I end up playing a blocker and maybe saving. And just right back up to 10 Dawn next turn. Yep, get another cheap blocker down. Tap Oni. And I pass with 2 Dawn active. And even with my insane opening hand, Onigashima, I remember it was Onigashima, a 2K counter, I believe, Who's Who, a cheap blocker, I believe it was the Black Maria, and 6 cost King. And even this game was not easy, with that insane opening hand against Red. I mean, you have the Oni, you have the blocker, and you have the Who's Who. The 6 cost King is, not amazing, but not horrible. But it was still not easy. So he puts 2 on the Sanji to give it rush, swings me for 6, and I just block. I block with Queen on the 5K. He goes 4 for another Sanji, gives it those 2 Dawn. Swings me again for 7. Oh, sorry, he's swinging me for 6 here. He actually did put the Dawn on Zoro. And then I think I opt to just block this. And then he holds his 2 Dawn. No, sorry, he uses his 2 Dawn on a VV and passes the turn to me. Now here, with all the swings I have available to me, we're really looking to try to end the game here, unless I draw another blocker. If I draw the blocker, then I feel okay with letting it go another turn and clearing the stuff. Just in case the math doesn't work out on he can like because if I end up attacking with the Queen and he's able to block the one swing with the cards from life, then I just lose the game probably. I don't think I had enough counter in hand to account for just, 2 big swings. So I just opt to clear the board this turn again, I'm pretty sure. Yep, I just 9 cost Kaido. I get rid of the VV. And I just clear the Sanjis. Can't 9 cost Kaido and -7 him. So there's no way, I don't think I can go through all that life this turn with only 4 swings. He only has to block one of the 6Ks for me to just kind of die next turn. So I just have to clear the board and just chip away an extra life. Yep, I swing 4 at the Sanji. He stops it. I believe I swing 5 and 7 at the Sanjis, and then I swing 10 at life. And with the blocker and my 2 cards in hand, I feel pretty confident that he's not going to be able to kill me here. The only thing I'm really scared of is a Luffy. But even if he does opt to Luffy me with 2 Dawn on it to make it unblockable, I just take that hit. I block the Zoro. Not really too much more that he can do here about this game. But it was still hard, to be honest. Like, if he had the Luffy maybe a turn earlier before I got the blockers down, it would have been difficult. He goes 2... Two for Brook. And I believe he ended up with a Luffy here. One, two, three. He's holding 4. Oh, he just pulls all the Dawn on Zoro. Swings me for... So he can't make it unblockable. I feel safe taking this. If he has the Zoro... Yep, he has the Zoro. He puts all the Dawn on it. And then I just block it with Queen. And now this is just standard Kaido end of game procedure. He has 1 card in hand. I'm just gonna Dawn minus him and just swing him big. And he can't really stop it. He can't stop with 12k. Now I'm just checking myself here, making sure I'm not gonna lose. I swing him for 11. He says he's thinking about it. Obviously, there's nothing he can do about it. I swing him for 11. I minus 7 him. And then I just swing him for 12 in the game. Not much more he can do about it. And now we're just going to get into the second game here. So we're actually 1-1 right now. We did a little best of 3 set. Like I said, I wanted to get some games with other matchups. I just didn't have the VODs, and I didn't think that there were too many good games that I could talk about from my other one, the webcam tourney I streamed on Saturday, where I do have VODs from. The Red Green Law game was okay, but his camera was kind of dark. It was kind of hard to see what was going on that one, so I didn't want to talk about that one. And then it was like a Kaido mirror where I had Oni and he didn't, so that doesn't feel great to talk about either. And then 2 games, I believe, versus Red, which were both Luffy's. And they were just kind of over so fast. It was kind of a situation where I just had the cards. Like his 5-drop Luffy's got 9 cost Kaido'd. It was just, I don't know. There wasn't much he could do. So this was on another game with a pretty nasty hand. He has the life Sanjis here. He ended up with 3 of them, and these are actually put on a lot of pressure. I slept on this card for sure when I read it the first time. This card puts on a lot of pressure. I still have the cheap blocker and the Onigashima. My hand was actually pretty similar to the first game here. He has another Sanji here. And this is terrifying, to be honest. He puts the 2 rested on it. This goes up to 7k because he gets 2k from his effect, 2k from the rested. And this is just an insane amount of pressure for the first turn. So I end up taking the 5. And my hand had no counters in it. I was just all big boys. So my opening hand was amazing. The subsequent draws, not so amazing. So I actually am forced to take those hits there. I don't have a choice. Yeah, and like I was saying here, just great opener, dead draws after that. I believe my hand was just full of big boys with no counter, which is the real place where this deck can fall short. I mean, that is a legitimate concern with my 11 to 12 King to Kaido count slash ratios. Is sometimes you just have hands where you have 2/9 cost, a 6, and a 10, and that's just half your hand where you can't counter. So that is a legitimate concern with my list, and one of the reasons I'm considering cutting the 10 down to 2. But this was crazy. I get the Who's Who from Life here, and he misplayed playing his Zoros out before attacking, and he was not respecting the Who's Who from Life, and he loses one of his Zoros completely for free there to the Who's Who. And here I am just really emphasizing that I have 7 cards in hand, and how few of them have counter on them. Sitting here with 2 life, 7 cards in my hand, 2 Who's Who on the board, and honestly terrified of red right now in this spot. I don't think I have any blockers, or maybe end up getting one this game. And we're in a rough spot here in this best of 3. I end up taking the life here again because I don't think I have a choice. He ends up doing 5 for Luffy. I have 1 Dawn active. He puts 1 Dawn on it. And he swings me for 7. And I Blast Breath that. Throws down 1 more for a Chopper. And I'm looking in a real rough spot here. I mean, as purple, if you don't get a blocker here, there's really not much you can do. Unless you just have an insane hand of counters, which, I mean, at this point, we know that I don't. Just in my massive hand, I just don't have anything. And that is, you know, a legitimate concern with these ratios of big boys. So I get the queen there. I draw 2. I don't remember what I end up discarding. I think it's a big boy. Yeah, discard a 9 cost. I think I had 2 9 costs in hand at this point. I think it was like 2 9s, a 10, and like 2 6s or something like that. I can't even play the 9 cost out if I had the Dawn for it because he just kills me, even if it destroys the Luffy. I don't think I'm able to even kill the Luffy here. I think I just, because he has that blocker, I'd have to put so much Dawn on one of the Who's Who to even try to swing at it, that I just opt to block up, even with the Luffy on board. I don't think it's going to die. I mean, I would have to put at least 1 on lead. I'd have to put at least 3 on the Who's Who's. He has 1 block there. That's 3 on the Who's Who's and 1 on me. So that's 7 Dawn committed just to try to kill the Luffy, and that's assuming he has more than 1 2k counter. Or a 1k counter, sorry. He swings me with 6 on Zoro. Actually, he doesn't swing yet. He just did it preemptively, I think, because I'm not reacting. Or maybe he just didn't restand. Swing me for 11, unblockable. I can't stop it. He swings me again for a large number. I pretty much have to just block it here. Oh, never mind. He Diablo Jambes me. I can't block that either, and I die. So that is definitely something you want to look out for, is the Diablo Jambe. Maybe try and expend those blockers a bit earlier, because I do think a lot of red decks are playing lots of Diablo Jambe now, because I've just realized how good it is to just make any card or your leader, which is insane, a Luffy for free for 1 Dawn, basically. So just another thing to keep in mind when you're playing against red. Yeah, look at that opening hand. That opening hand is insane. I would take that opening hand 10 out of 10 times in this matchup. But I would take that opening hand 10 out of 10 times in any matchup, to be honest. But just drawing 4 or 5 big boys in a row just made it a total brick. I just didn't get any counters. And his hand was an insane amount of pressure. And he had the jet pistol to deal with one of my queens too. We didn't end up seeing it, but it was there. So yeah, so that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I really appreciate if you stayed here to check out the commentary and check out the games, get a little bit of insight on what's going on with the list. And if you are interested in watching more One Piece TCG gameplay, I'm going to be streaming a webcam tournament here every Tuesday on twitch.tv/DesTheGrinder. Like, comment, subscribe if you thought anything interesting. You want to watch more One Piece TCG content, and I'm going to be trying to putting out another video today taking a look at the leaked cards from this week from OP03. So if any of that stuff interests you, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Twitch, and thanks for watching, guys. See ya.